Hey everybody, Sean Price with Price and Price Realtors, and I've been having some conversations with some buyers that have been contacting me. They're concerned about the state of the market, and they're concerned about the news that they're seeing that house prices are dropping, and that the real estate market might potentially crash again. And one of the things that's really important when you're listening to, especially national news with regards to real estate, is you have to understand that when they're speaking from a national news perspective, they're speaking on average across the nation. So I heard a really, really good analogy that kind of puts this in perspective. So let's say that you're watching a weather report, and the weather report says the average temperature for the country, the United States, is 72 degrees with a 50% chance of rain. Well, that has nothing to do with your area. That's the average across the country. You could be in an area here in Northern Virginia. Heck, we may be 50 degrees that day, or we may be hotter. We may be up in the 90s. You never know what the specific areas are. So when you're listening to the national news and they're talking about the real estate market, you can't really apply that to our local market, because our local market, number one, this Northern Virginia market is completely different than the majority of the US. And also, just from a general perspective, every market is individualized. Right now, there are some markets that are totally crashing, and there are some markets that are totally thriving. Our market is very, very stable. It has decreased in activity, but it's very stable. The prices are holding well, and there's still a whole lot of activity. So when you're listening to the national news, just keep that in perspective. You always have to take it from a perspective of that is an average for what's going on in the nation, but it means nothing with what's going on here. Each week I put out a market report for what's going on in the areas that Kelly and I really focus on here in Northern Virginia, and I put out a market report with the actual stats of what's happened over the past 7 days. So it's factual, actual, logical numbers that show what the state of the market is. And if you want to watch the last report from last Monday, you can go to our YouTube channel and see the video there. Okay, so if you have any questions, please feel free to post below or reach out to us, and just keep that in mind that all real estate markets are local. And the fact of the matter is they're even local within inside the local market. So for example, you've got price points. A $400,000 price point is a completely different market than a $2 million price point, even in the same Northern Virginia area. On top of that, you've got Woodbridge, which is different than Reston, which is different than some of the Winchester. So there's different markets inside of a market. So you've got to just pay attention to what's going on in the market that you're looking at. All right, hope it makes sense. Again, any questions, please feel free to post below. Thanks.